it's effectively saying that we've seen the cassiterite mineralisation at surface in this part of Kalayi, and it's proven once they start digging down, it's not just something that's just at the surface; it's actually in the bedrock.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Rome Resources CEO Paul Barrett. Paul, good to speak with you. You've started small-scale mining at Kalayi to secure a full mining license. Why is that so important, and what does it unlock for Rome Resources?
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. There's a few things in there. So not only is it a requirement under the small-scale mining license that DRC has, in terms of then converting it to a full production license. So there is that kind of regulatory thing that has to be going through. But actually, it's going to be quite useful for us in terms of getting quite a lot of sample, understanding the detail of the geology. I mean, if you look at Alpha Mins and Palmer Mine and some of the cross sections that have come out of there in the public domain, incredibly complicated geometry, and you can't elucidate that from 1.5-inch diameter core. So having this small mine and adit, and then actually going into the deposit will be really valuable information for us. So it's two things really.
I mean, early XRF readings show up to 17% tin in the adit walls. What does that say about the deposit, and does it match what you've seen from trenching?
Well, it's qualitative. I mean, it's effectively saying that we've seen the cassiterite mineralisation at surface in this part of Kalayi, and it's proven once they start digging down, it's not just something that's just at the surface; it's actually in the bedrock. So I think it definitely is pointing in the right direction. And interestingly, what we'll see in terms of grades, it will be quite interesting to see what we get. And we're hoping to produce something like, at least initially, just from a simple process, something like a 60 to 70% tin concentrate, which we'll sell locally. Unfortunately, we can't send it to Alpha Min. We've got to send it locally through the state system because of part of the regulations. So yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting.
You're targeting around 79% ownership of Kalayi. Why is that level of control important when attracting strategic partners, Paul?
Well, I think the more that you have, the better situation you're in. I mean, so long as you don't overpay to get there. And so we are still discussing at the moment the way that we would get this. We're probably through a share-based transaction that we talked about previously. And also the fact that the way that this structure works is that we convert to a PEPM, we convert from the small-scale mining into a full-scale mining license. And at that point, the requirement for a local partner drops away. And that's when we can effectively complete the deal on buying that extra percentage. And then 10% of the project goes to the DRC state. So it's all part of a process of maximizing as much as we can of the value without, as I say, without overpaying for it.
I mean, drilling assays and an updated resource estimate due soon. What should investors watch for, and what would a strong result mean for the project, Paul?
Well, we saw with the XRF readings on the from the core, which are indicative, and they're not going to give us the exact numbers, that we've seen some pretty wide intercepts, and some of those holes, some of those cores, we're still waiting for those assays, but they have been promised within a couple of weeks. So I think once we get them collated into the geological model and then sent down to MSA for verification, we should see some fairly big uplifts in terms of the resource numbers coming out. Hard to say a number, but basically I think it'll be strong, and I expect that we'll get that out hopefully this side of the middle of July.
Well, we'll be discussing that very soon. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Stephen.
Paul Barrett, the CEO of Rome Resources.